Welcome back to Purple and Gold Zone, episode number 9. We are back, baby. Hey, back and better than ever. Two things have happened since we were last here. One, I found out Domino's has cheesy tots, and let me tell you right now, I could get too many orders of those things. And two, the Los Angeles Lakers have made some moves on top of some other things. We got a lot to talk about today. So many topics to go over, so many great things to cover. But before we go into that, I do want to plug my other projects. You can find another show on my YouTube channel called The Connor and Heffernan Show, where we go into all things sports. This coming Saturday, we are dropping a big episode, Super Bowl, MLB, NHL, NBA news. It's going to be awesome. Check it out this weekend or find it on Spotify at The Connor and Heffernan Show. And then also check out my other NBA project called Well Beyond the Arc. It is on the Yankee and the Brit Sports page YouTube channel. Check it out, the Yankee and the Brit channel. So many great shows, interviews, MMA shows, NFL shows, so many great different things with hip hop, so many great different, a couple documentaries. There's a couple, if you're into anything with the mob, if you're a big Sopranos guy like me, you're into a lot of that stuff. And there's a project out already and a project that is being released. So check those out. And then also my co-host Manoli has a blog called the Sports Page Blog. Check that out. He just released a couple new editions this last month. They're really worth the read. And now, that being said, let's get right into Lakers talk, baby. Let's go. So as everyone knows, it's about that time. It's about All-Star season. So many exciting things happen during the All-Star game and during the All-Star weekend. We've seen so many great things in the past. And as promised last episode, we're going to start talking All-Star game this episode. And the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, we're going to talk about the top 5 Laker performances of all time in the All-Star game. But before we go into that, we're going to talk about something a little bit more current. A little bit more of a current All-Star game topic. Obviously, LeBron James back in the All-Star game. He's going to be that player that's going to be an All-Star till he retires. Of course, it's playing, but it's also his name. He's absolutely going to be in that talk, and he's going to be playing at a high enough level until he retires. As long as nothing changes, he's going to be doing that. So LeBron James is a lock. There's no chance. I mean, just again, his name. There's another thing with the name, of course, but the playing goes into it as well. So LeBron, of course, is there. Congratulations, another appearance. LeBron is just bringing those in and racking those up. But there is a player that a lot of people thought was a snub. And no, I'm not talking about Russell Westbrook because, hey, as of now, he's not even a Laker anymore. I am talking about Anthony Davis. Now, of course, Anthony Davis went down in December with that injury, but before then, he was playing some all-time ball. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was out there just hooping. He started the season somewhat slow, and then he picked it up and was just going on a tear, and he looked like he was in MVP form potentially. And then he went down with an injury. At that very moment, he was guaranteed to be an all-star because he was playing on the same level of top-tier big men intensity and big men stats of as a Jokic in the West. That was what he was doing. He was up there with Jokic as the best big man in the West at that time. He absolutely looked like it. Now, durability, that's not a strength of Anthony Davis. I call him Glass Man. All right. I make jokes about that, but it's true. That could not be any more true. That is a nickname that he has earned because he's always getting injured. But this is what I will say. Had he not gotten back from injury before the All-Star game and even before the voting and all that was done, I would understand him not going because obviously you can't play in the All-Star game if you're injured or if you come back like a week before and you weren't voted in, obviously you're not going to get a chance. You know, there's a lot of different variables for not being able to participate. But Anthony Davis was healthy and Anthony Davis came back from injury hot. Usually Anthony Davis has a cold start. Anthony Davis is my sister's 1992 Ultima, and it's senior year and it's winter, and I'm trying to get that thing started. It doesn't start very quick. It takes some time. You have to be patient with that thing. But once it goes and it works. That's Anthony Davis. He's slow to start, but once he goes, he's gone. He's like, you can rely on him once he is hot. Well, he came back from injury hot. So when I saw him come back from injury so hot, I was like, he is absolutely going to be an all-star. Well, here we are about, I'd say, a weekish out of all-star break and no Anthony Davis. So the question is why? The question is, who do I think should have been out instead of him? Who do I think was that snub over him? Who do I think got him that snub? Well, there's a couple of players that I've noticed fans have shot around in the West of players that they think took Anthony Davis's spot. One of them is Lauri Markkanen. I do not agree. I could not disagree more with that statement. Lauri Markkanen has been putting up absolutely fantastic stats, and he has helped make the Jazz look like a team that actually might make the playoffs and actually might have a chance to do something special in the future. And you have to remember that this is a team that everyone was saying was going to tank at the beginning of the season. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. All the talk about that has not been the case because they have looked phenomenal. And a big reason is because of Markkanen, specifically his offense. He has been having nights where he will shoot the lights out. So Lauri Markkanen absolutely deserves to be there. And Lauri Markkanen also, in my opinion, can fill several different positions. He's very versatile and he absolutely belongs there. He is going to be a great addition to that team. Another player that people have been throwing around as a player that maybe shouldn't be there over AD would be Domantas Sabonis. And again, could not disagree more. Ever since he went to the Sacramento Queens, and yes, it is Queens, do not get it twisted. It is not Kings, it is Sacramento Queens. Thank you very much. But ever since he went to the Queens, we have seen, I almost want to call it creativity. I don't know if that's the right word. We've almost seen an offensive creativity and more movement from him than we saw when he was a Pacer. Yes, he was good as a Pacer, but I think we're seeing him kind of being able to do more and showcase more of his skills as, a Queen. And he's been killing it so far. He has been a super major part that team is where they are at is because of Sabonis. So huge W's. Those two guys absolutely belong to be there. It's both of their first All-Star games, and they both belong to be there. This is their stage. This is their year. They're having successful years. Frankly, they're having more successful years than the Lakers as a whole. So you can't really argue too much. Of course, All-Star game isn't a record thing, but there is a level where if you're on a successful team surrounded by players that are making you look better, you're probably going to end up being an All-Star. The Lakers haven't really had that, luxury, but that's neither here nor there. Who is the player that I think should have been Anthony Davis? There's only one player in the West. I'm going to be honest. Of all the players in the West, there was only one player I can make the argument for that should be Anthony Davis, and that would be Jaren Jackson Jr. Okay, I don't want to hate on Jaren. There's a lot of Memphis Grizzly hate right now. I will say a lot of it is rightfully so because they are very annoying. They are potentially the most annoying team in the NBA now. Off the court. On the court, that might be the Suns now. Oh my gosh. Oh, good Lord. KD on the Suns. That could be nasty if they stay healthy. So that could be annoying. But the biggest annoying team off the court is definitely the Memphis Grizzlies. All their shenanigans, all their antics. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's entertaining, but it's annoying. So, Jaren Jackson Jr. is obviously a part of that squad, but you have to give them some respect because they are a really talented unit. And Jaren Jackson has been with them kind of as they've built that up. He has been one of those players, that joined them in 2018 and has been with them since and helped them kind of build that team up and go from a bottom tier team to a team that people are talking about as potentially a contender in the West. So I just think that, Jaren Jackson, no disrespect to him as a player or his team on the court at least, but come on. I mean, Anthony Davis is putting up over 10 plus more points than Jaren Jackson. He is putting up, the only thing I will say, blocks. Jaren Jackson has been having a monster year, averaging 3.3 blocks per game. That is defensive player of the year vibes right there. And that's fantastic. And that's huge. And one steal a game. I mean, those are great stats. I'm not going to lie. Those are solid stats. I cannot argue with those stats, and I'm not going to try to. The thing where it kind of gets tricky for me is Anthony Davis was putting up more all-around stats because, yes, Jaren Jackson has 3.3 blocks per game, and he's been on a defensive tear, and he puts up solid offensive numbers. But when you look at AD's numbers compared to Jackson's, there's no comparison. AD was having an MVP caliber year, and Jaren Jackson is having a defensive player of the year, maybe year at the most. At best, that's what he's having, in my opinion, which is still fantastic in its own right. But when I'm looking at All-Star game, the best of the best, and if I'm looking at the best of the best, especially for that position, I'm not looking at Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson Jr. is great. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm hating on him just because of the team he plays for, because I personally don't have an actual problem with the Grizzlies. I just think they're annoying. But I don't think that was his spot to have. I totally think Anthony Davis should have been in that spot. Do you guys agree? Do you guys think Anthony Davis was snubbed? Let me know in the comments Please, I'd love to know because it's very interesting to me because there's a lot of people that are divided. Some are saying, yes, he was snubbed. Some are saying, no, he wasn't snubbed. He was injured. He came back. There's other players that have been balling out more consistently. I understand that way of looking at it, but I just think as a whole, Anthony Davis should be on that all-star roster. This is the second year in a row he's missed it. Now, both of those have been heavily due to injuries. Of course, that's not the people voting's fault. That's no one's fault. But it is tricky to see an all-star like Anthony Davis, especially an all-star in the purple and gold, miss that game 2 years in a row. And this year actually put up numbers that should have absolutely gotten him in there. So again, super snub, but congratulations to Jaren Jackson Jr. and everybody that made it because it's going to be an awesome all-star weekend. But transitioning now, let's look at the top 5 LA Laker all-star game performances of all time. Coming in at number 5, we have Kobe Bryant's 2009 All-Star Game performance in Phoenix, Arizona. Obviously, Kobe and Shaq had been carrying on that public feud for quite some time, but this is kind of when we saw the ice start to melt. They both went out there together, obviously a part of different squads. Kobe with the Lakers and O'Neal with the Suns, but they went out there and they absolutely put on a show and helped carry the West to a win. And the coolest part, as you know, is they held that trophy up together, and that was just a really big sign that the tides were turning. And as a Lakers fan, I think that was a big moment because even though, Shaq's not a Laker anymore, it still is a big moment to see him share that trophy with Kobe, even if it's just for a quick photo. It's a huge, huge deal. Obviously, the West absolutely destroyed the East 146 to 119. And Kobe's part, he scored 27 points in 29 minutes, adding 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. This was a fantastic performance. Kobe Bryant absolutely helped provide an offensive boost for this team that helped them absolutely steamroll over the East. Coming at number 4, I have Shaquille O'Neal's performance in 2004 in the All-Star game that was held in Los Angeles. Shaquille O'Neal had himself a great game. This was one of his best performances, if not his best All-Star game performance. He had 24 points, which 18 of those were off of high-flying, absolute signature Shaq dunks. He had 18 points off of dunks. 2 blocked shots, 11 rebounds, and 2 steals in a really hard-fought game. This is one of the most hard-fought All-Star games we have seen. This is definitely not the same thing as that last one at that number 5 slot, which was a blowout. This was a close game, 136 to 132. Shaq helped lead that Western team over the East, but this was such an iconic All-Star game, and Shaq gave his iconic interview, the Can You Dig It interview following the game. This just showed that this was the Big Diesel being the Big Diesel. Of course, this was the beginning of the end in Los Angeles, and this was obviously his last All-Star game as a Laker, but it was just cool that his last one was so memorable and so good, and you know what I mean? Like, Shaquille O'Neal is a big reason that that Western team won. Especially he came down in that fourth and had some dominating performances. And of course, Tim Duncan made that crucial basket that sealed that win late for that Western team. But Shaq was the big factor that night, and he put on a typical Shaq performance, putting him at number 4 on this list. Coming in at number 3, we have a Lakers legend who is often forgotten as a whole, and that is Elgin Baylor and his 1959 performance that was in Detroit in Olympia Stadium. Baylor is an absolute legend. He's often forgotten, but he was a part of many absolute legendary teams with Jerry West, and of course he also played with Wilt Chamberlain, going to the finals 8 times, and eventually, as I mentioned, having his jersey retired, and of course adding 11 All-Star games to that. But his best one arguably was his first one as a rookie. He had 24 points and 11 rebounds, as well as helping lock down some of the best stationary big men in the East like Dolph Schayes and Bill Russell, as well as finessing past them on offense to put up some really good points and have a really good all-around performance. Elgin Baylor had himself an MVP game. Obviously, this event was a little bit smaller at the time. Only about 10,000 people saw that MVP game, but Elgin Baylor had himself such a fantastic performance, and it is very notable, especially because of the way he matched up against Dolph Schayes and Bill Russell as a rookie. These are two pretty established, well-versed players, and Elgin Baylor's coming out here as a rookie, and he's absolutely showing them that he can hang with them, and that was really impressive. And that's something that a lot of people forget and a lot of people overlook. But
This was an absolute great performance, and Elgin Baylor stands alone as a Lakers legend. Coming in at number 2, you had to know you'd see this guy again. He has definitely had most of these all-star performances for the Lakers that are notable. He has had so many games that are absolutely legendary and iconic. Even up to his last one was iconic. Of course, his last one being his last one, it was very iconic. Drake ruined that picture of him and LeBron. I'm still mad to this day. But when we talk about all-stars that are Lakers that are great, we've got to talk Kobe Bryant again. We got to talk the Black Mamba. Come on now. So, coming to my number 2 spot, we've got Kobe Bryant. His performance in the 2011 All-Star game that was in Los Angeles. Many people would rank this as one of the top All-Star performances of all time, and hey, I'm one of them because this was absolutely ridiculous. He had 37 points in 29 minutes in an absolutely hard-fought game. So many of these games that are hard-fought are hard-fought because the players like Kobe or Shaq are in them, and this was a game that is no exception. The West ended up winning 148 to 143, but it was hard fought all the way through, and they were led by Kobe's 37 points and his game high 14 rebounds, as well as 3 assists and 3 steals. Honestly, my biggest reason for putting him here is those 14 rebounds on top of that 37 points. He had himself an absolute monstrous double-double, and of course his rebound numbers, we don't usually see, 14 rebounds. That wasn't his normal average, but it was great to see him be aggressive and get up and go, and it kept this game so aggressive and so absolutely monstrous. The fact that you saw Kobe Bryant going up and getting all these boards and seeing this, it was a great game. And this was definitely one of the best All-Star games I have seen. And this was definitely Kobe Bryant's best All-Star game performance. Coming in at number 1, I have Magic Johnson's performance in the 1992 All-Star game that was held in Orlando. Magic Johnson won the All-Star MVP award twice in his career, but the most iconic was in 1992, which was actually after he had left the game due to contracting HIV, which is honestly, lots of people didn't think he was going to survive that. There was speculation that he was going to die, and there was much more speculation that he would never play basketball again. But he proved everybody wrong, returning for the 1992 All-Star game, where he had an absolutely big performance, scoring 25 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. This inspirational performance helped boost this Western team that actually blew the East. The Eastern team was blown out of the building. They did not need an airplane home. All of those Eastern players did not need an airplane. They were blown back to their cities because the Western Conference team won 153 to 113. Not an exciting All-Star game as a whole, but very inspirational and absolutely hard fought. And Magic Johnson had himself a great performance, showing that he was still that guy. He was still all around. Again, he would not, play beyond that. He would end up coming back and playing a small stint in 1996. Go Google that. Go look that up on YouTube. Go look up Magic Johnson 1996 highlights. You will find some. A lot of people forget that, but Magic Johnson, again, this was his final All-Star game, and he put up an absolutely magical and LA-esque performance.
Moving right along to our next segment, as many of you know, LeBron James finally broke that record on Tuesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder in an unfortunate loss, but he broke that record in the third quarter, scoring 38 as a whole to break that record. Absolutely legendary moment. It was amazing. Kareem was there. All the stars were out. It was big. It was a big moment. The teams were celebrating. People were really excited. It was a big moment. The real team that celebrated at the end was obviously the Thunder because they won, but it was a big moment for LeBron. His family was there. His friends were there. It was huge. His teammates. I mean, it was a really, really big moment for LeBron. But I want to talk about it from the standpoint of a Lakers fan, not a LeBron fan, from a Lakers fan, because it's big, not just a fan of the league, but a fan of the Lakers, who are currently 13th, and we are nowhere closer to getting to 500. We are not going to get to 500 before All-Star break. I'm just going to come out and say it. We talked about that last episode. Now we're not going to. We've dropped too many games now. And that was one of the ones we needed to win and should have won. So looking at that moment and that game from the standpoint of a Lakers fan, not a LeBron fan, first of all, it came in in the third, which was awesome. When I saw LeBron nearing that record, I was like, okay, he's going to put up a 40 to 50 point performance and capitalize on this night. He's not going to stop at the record. He's going to keep going. Obviously, he breaks the record and does not keep going. There's no sense of urgency to win. He's broken the record. That's what he wanted to do. He did it. He's done. He broke the record. So I get it. Emotions were high. That's huge. I don't want to sound too harsh, which I think I probably do, but I am frustrated. Anthony Davis's reaction is my reaction because I'm happy for him, but we're in the middle of a game. We're down by, I believe it was 5 points. And this is a game we need to win. Every game matters. Until you are at 500 and sitting comfortably above, every single game is life or death. Every single game is. We are worse off record-wise right now than we were last season at this point. We may end up with a worse record than we had last season at this point. There is a chance. I believe there's still a chance we can get a better record than what we finished with last season before the All-Star break, but I'm not entirely sure. It's close, and it shouldn't be. So it to me, that game against the Thunder, well, I don't want to diminish or minimize what LeBron did because no one's going to do that again. LeBron's going to play for 3 to 5 more seasons, and he's going to get that above 40,000. I don't know how much above 40,000, but it's going to be above 40,000, and no one's going to catch that because the only reason that someone would is because the game is getting a little more offensive based, and there's going to be, there's higher scoring games, and maybe they're going to even change it around a little bit and make it so that it can be higher scoring. So I don't know, we never know what the future of this sport is going to hold. But even with that in mind, the amount of time you would have to play to break that record, even if you're scoring an insane amount of points, it'd be a lot. You would still have to have a sizable long career. So hats off to LeBron. And again, we talked about this last episode. He had 7,000 plus points of that as a Laker. He had a fantastic amount of those points as a Laker and contributed a lot of those points to really big wins, especially in that championship winning season. And even the season after when we got beat by the Suns in the playoffs, he had big contributions that season and the season before. I'm not going to diminish that as a Lakers fan. That is awesome. He had big contributions statistically last season. We didn't win those games. We didn't win those games, but he had big statistic performances last season. That was him last season. Big 30-point games, but we would still find a way to lose in the last quarter. So it's very frustrating to me because on one hand, I'm happy that our organization has that in our record book, and it's another Los Angeles Laker who holds that. And I know the hope is that he'll retire a Laker. And again, like I said last time, if he retires a Laker, he wins another chip, at least one more for the Lakers, throws on more points. He is one of the top Lakers of all time. He has to be. He is notable. But if he only gets one chip and breaks the record on this team but leaves, what really did he do? It frustrates me because it's not enough. It's not enough. Pau Gasol has won more championships than LeBron James as a Laker. Lamar Odom has won more championships than LeBron James has as a Laker. I'm not going to compare their talents. I mean, they're all talented in their own right, but to me, it is something that it's like, these are things we have to look at. Does it mean a lot? Yes. I'm not going to go into that as much because we went into it last episode. I'm going to move over and talk about the actual game itself. The game itself, the OKC Thunder are an up-and-coming team. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Are they a team that is guaranteed a spot in the playoffs? No, but the Lakers aren't either at this point. And currently the Thunder are sitting above the Lakers at 12. The Thunder are a team that are young. They're young and gunning. They're going for it. They're a quick-paced team. They will put up a lot of points on you quick if you do not have a solid defense. The Lakers defense is teeter-totter. It's very teetering day-to-day. It's very unbalanced. It's very unstable. So that game particularly, it did not look great. A player that was not present was Anthony Davis. Now, he was very visibly frustrated during that moment when LeBron was breaking that record, and he came out to say it was because they were losing. The game was intense. He was in the moment. He was frustrated. I understand all of that. Russell Westbrook, same thing. He had his best game. There was some altercation in the locker room with him. Now he's not even on our team anymore. We'll talk about that next segment. So, there's all these factors, there's all these crazy things. It's like one final show, the circus. Welcome to the circus. Even one of the OKC players knew it was a circus. He walked in wearing his clown shoes that night. Okay. It was an absolute circus. It was like one final show. I hope that is the end of it. I hope that is the last act of this traveling Los Angeles circus. I don't, it was too much. And we needed that win. I don't want to diminish the moment of LeBron breaking that record, but it diminishes when it's in a loss and when you're on a team that isn't even 500. Okay. If the Lakers are above 500, top four in the Western Conference team, and LeBron breaks this record, but we lose the game, I'm not going to sit here and criticize it. I'm going to say, okay, we're solid. We're set. We're in the top four. We're a solid team. We'll bounce back. The wins will come. I'm not convinced the wins are going to come. I needed to see us beat the Thunder to be convinced. That was one game. That was a convince me game. That was a convince me game, and we blew it. And LeBron broke that record, and that's fantastic. And again, I don't want to diminish that, because the fact that he's in the purple and gold, and especially if he stays with us and stays in the purple and gold longer term than just the next, foreseeable future, I do think it will mean more to me than it does at this moment. But at this moment, it's like, what really has LeBron done other than win that one championship and put up all these stats that are decently, consistent and, very durable stats? He's not as durable health wise. He's still durable than most players that would be his age, but he's not as durable as you would have seen, Cleveland or Heat LeBron, or even, first two season as a Laker LeBron. So he's not as durable. There's a lot of factors that play a part in this, but to me, it was a lukewarm, it wasn't really that exciting because we ended up losing that game. I was really hoping that he was going to break it in the fourth, and he was going to break it winning the game, and it was going to be within the last final few minutes of the game. Now, of course, LeBron, that was his focus, and it was very obvious and very evident, because after he broke it, he kind of disappeared. We didn't see him say, okay, let's win this game. We didn't see that. Maybe he couldn't. The emotions of breaking a record like that, I cannot imagine. I can't fathom that, and I'm not even going to try to. So I can't really criticize it completely, because I will never know. I've been in moments that are really emotional, and it is hard to snap back to business and go right back to business, and maybe that's all this really was, and that's fine. But it just, to me, it looked like he kind of, okay, I broke the record, that's what I came here to do, and then he did not play against the Bucks, and to me that was, okay, I broke the record, I'm going to take this night off. That's how I took that. I could be wrong. I think it was like ankle soreness, whatever, it's fine. I don't want to hate on LeBron. I'm not hating on LeBron. I'm just criticizing this because I think it's a critical thing to look at. So as a Lakers fan, again, this was a big moment, but it wasn't super big because we lost. It was cool to see Kareem there, but he did not look like he wanted to be there. I think this was just a really big unity message that he wanted to send to Lakers fans and to everybody. I don't really think he really did want to be there. To be honest with you, who would want to, yeah, I got it. It's fine. But I don't think that was really what he wanted to do that night. He looked very unhappy being there, and maybe that was just him and his, very stern, serious face that he has carried around a lot of his life. But it seemed like he wasn't the most happy to be present that night. And maybe that's because it was in a loss. I mean, it could be a lot of reasons. Maybe, I know that, there's just a lot of factors. So we don't know exactly why he looked like that, but even he didn't look super thrilled to be in the building. So, which I wouldn't honestly have even expected him to end up being there, because I know him and LeBron have had some beef and some stuff, and it's just, whatever. It doesn't really matter in the long run, but I was kind of surprised to even see him there, to be honest with you. But for me, it was a big night. It was cool that he did that as a Laker, because I think that could be a boost. Now that he's done that, maybe he can lock in and focus more on helping us win games. We haven't seen that yet because he was out, but maybe that will be his focus. Maybe his focus will shift. Not that he hasn't had that as his focus, but if there was anything distracting him, it would have been this. And I don't want to say that because honestly, a lot of his big performances have helped us win games and start to build up a little bit. So he has contributed to win some, but maybe not as much as he will if his main focus switches away from that time. Now he's got that. Now he has that record and he can fully immerse himself on focusing on winning. And the good news is we have some new pieces that should also help us win that we're going to talk about next. But wrapping this segment up, I just want to say this. LeBron, congratulations. I think that it was a great thing to do at home at crypto.com. I've never been to Staples Center, now crypto.com center, but I can never call it crypto. Whenever I go there, if I tag it in a post, it's going to be tagged as Staples Center. I can't do crypto. Come on now. Crypto, nah. But anyway, that was the place to do it at. Doing it in front of Kareem, that was the person to do it in front of. All the stars were there. Jay-Z was there. Denzel Washington. I mean, come on. This was big. Okay, I'm not going to diminish that. But as a Lakers fan, this was a big example of LeBron, the LeBron show, the LA Bron show, and the focus that had as opposed to the focus winning the game should have, to me, is not something I want to see continued. If that moment is, I mean, again, huge all-time moment. If that moment is it, and it's going to go from being the LA Bron show to the LA show, the Lake show, like it should. I'm wearing the shirt. Come on, the Lake show. I'm going to be very happy. I'm going to be happier because I think, again, the focus has been very much zeroed in on that. And maybe that's why Anthony Davis was frustrated. Maybe something else is going on. I don't know. Either way, it was not a great game. It was not a great loss, but it was a great moment. And as a Lakers fan, congratulations, LeBron. But now, come on, please, 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 let's go. We need to get to 500. But in order to get to 500, or to get to the playoffs, you have to have the right pieces. And we just had the trade deadline pass over as of yesterday. So now let's get right into some trade deadline Lakers biz. So first things first, as we talked about last time, Kyrie Irving requested a trade before the deadline, and there was buzz that he would go to the Lakers. Well, of course, that did not end up happening. It was not something that, honestly, the general manager or anyone in the front office for the Nets were going to let happen. And frankly, it sounds like they openly admitted that they did not let that happen. That's not going to be something they let happen. So they ended up trading into the Dallas Mavs, which was my second prediction, I guess you could say, for a team he might go to. But I thought he was a lock for the Lakers, but it's all good. We didn't get him. And then Kevin Durant is now a Sun all of a sudden, which I could have seen from a mile away with Kyrie leaving, but I just didn't think this was going to go like this, to be honest. I thought they were going to give it a real shot and try to at least win one title in Brooklyn and give it one chance, but not the case. So RIP to the Brooklyn Nets. But the Lakers did actually score some pretty big trades and some pretty big pieces. So we're going to go into these situations and these trades, and I'm going to give them a letter grade, kind of like I graded players and did that last, a couple episodes ago. I'm going to do that with these trades, and we're going to break down what this really means for the Lakers with who we got and who we lost.
Our first trade we're going to look at is the Lakers trading Patrick Beverley and a second round pick for Orlando Magic big Mo Bamba. First of all, Patrick Beverley did not have a very successful time with the Lakers, other than that one trolling moment when he picked up that camera when the Celtics game, moment came and the refs missed that call. That was the only moment that is somewhat notable, but really that was just a troll, and that's all Patrick Beverley really is a troll. That's all he was for the other LA team, and that's all he was for us. So goodbye, Patrick Beverley. But looking at Mo Bamba, honestly, this was a pickup that I was really excited about and honestly did not expect either. I think that Mo Bamba is a really solid player, and I think he's a player that needs the right system, and I think that this Los Angeles system will be right for him. Currently this season, he is averaging 7.2 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, 1.1 assists per game, zero point 0.3 blocks, and 0.9 steals per game. Really solid numbers from Mo Bamba. I think that this is a player that will be great coming off of the bench and putting up big numbers, and maybe we will end up seeing him in that starting lineup and AD push to that 4 spot. You never know. We might see Mo Bamba get into that lineup and start some games, and we might see him be a solid bench piece. Either way, Mo Bamba is a big that we need. We need a player like Mo Bamba, and once again, I truly think that he's a system guy. He needs to be in the right system. he needs to be with the right team, and I don't think that Magic team was the right system for him. I think that Magic team is not the right system for. Our next trade honestly came as a surprise to most fans, including me, and that would be trading Thomas Bryant to the Nuggets for Reed and a future second round pick. Now, honestly, what ended up coming out from what I can see is that Thomas Bryant really was pushing for a trade due to the fact that when Anthony Davis came back, his minutes were diminished and his role was changed. Now, honestly, I thought that they were complementing each other very nicely and that would be a really good match, but I also kind of understand if Bryant wanted to be that more dominant center and thinks that he is ready for that role for another team. My question is that really the Nuggets? I mean, you're not going to get much more minutes in that position because there's Jokic. Arguably, you're going to get less. So I don't know if Bryant is going to really get what he wishes. Maybe he'll end up on another team, but I don't really understand that. But we are obviously getting a shooting guard back with Reed, and we are desperately in need of shooting guards. When we look at Reed, he's a really solid player, honestly. Does not put up a lot of stats, but has had a really pretty solid season, and he shoots 36.4 from three, and that is what I'm really excited about. Even though he's only averaging about 2.3 points per game, zero point 0.4 steals, zero point 0.1 blocks, 0.5 assists, and 1.6 rebounds, he does have a 36.4 field goal percentage from three, and to me that shows that he is a solid shooter, and maybe we can get him more minutes in our system and get him at least more touches of the ball, and he can really provide that spark with those threes. So I'm really excited about Reed, but I am really disappointed that we're losing Bryant because Bryant is a really solid piece, and honestly, yes, we still have Wenyen Gabriel, and Gabriel is a really solid player, but Bryant is a super, super solid piece that I really was hoping we could have long term, but obviously that is not the case, and at least we are getting a shooter back. But I am going to have to rank this trade lower. I'm going to have to rank it around a C because we are giving up such a big piece with Bryant. And finally, the most high profile trade that happened before the deadline was a trade that ended up reuniting a former Los Angeles Laker back to his home. That would be D'Angelo Russell from the Minnesota Timberwolves in a three-team, eight-player trade that was announced on Thursday. The Lakers got Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt as well, while the Timberwolves received Mike Conley and Alexander Walker and then picks. And then also the Lakers sent Westbrook to the Jazz, as well as Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and a 2027 Lakers first round pick that is top four protected. So, first and foremost, obviously, I thought we would more than likely lose Russell Westbrook to some team. Russell Westbrook has gotten his trade value back up to where it was when he was a Wizard. You know, he's gotten his view of who he is has definitely gone in another direction in a good way. And so I had a feeling we were going to end up trading him to get some pieces that we needed. I'm not super upset. Respect to him. I'm glad we had him for some decent games, but honestly, it did not contribute to the win-loss column in a positive way. Even when he put up better games this season, it wasn't enough. We need to move forward, and this was the best way to do that. So, good luck to him. Also, good luck to Juan Toscano Anderson. Honestly, again, not a big fan. Didn't really have that much statistical success with us, but still good to see him find a new home and us to find some players back, for him as well that are going to help us. And then also Damian Jones, kind of a player that one could look at as really solid and one could look at as underdeveloped and one could also look at as maybe not in the right system and not in the right home. I would look at him as a little bit of all of that. I think he's a little bit underdeveloped. I think that he did have some okay games, but I think that he will work better in a different system, and I just don't think that balancing out with Anthony Davis is going to work for the type of player he is. So I do think that that is the better option for him. But looking at the players we got back, because I'm going to be honest, the only player that we gave up that I'm really wishing we still had was Russell Westbrook. And honestly, again, I can understand why we need to move on from him, and I think it is time. Still a little bit upset. I really liked him. Man, I even bought a jersey. This was last season. Trust me, I have not worn it very much. But I did buy a jersey of his last season, so I guess I still have proof that he was a Los Angeles Laker. And there's plenty of highlight reels of him turning the ball over on YouTube for proof that he was a Laker as well. Just not as positive. But anyways, looking at the players we got. First of all, let's start with the returning Los Angeles Laker, D'Angelo Russell. This is nostalgia for me. My first ever Lakers game I went to in Denver. D'Angelo Russell, it was his rookie season. Super, super cool memory. Honestly, as much as the Lakers sucked and as much success as they were lacking, it was super cool. And I take that back. It was his second season as a Laker. It was right after Kobe retired. It was his second season as a Laker. I saw him in person, and it was super cool. It was a big moment. Honestly, like it was a super, super important moment for me because that was my first NBA game I'd ever been to. So that's when I fell in love with it. So there's some nostalgia there. But also, even though the Lakers were not a good team, people forget how solid D'Angelo Russell was. As a Laker, he put up really solid stats, and he always gave us a show and put us in these games and kept us alive in a lot of games. So honestly, he was a really, really, really solid bright spot for the Lakers. It just did not formulate. As a career player, he has some pretty solid averages that he started building up as a Laker. But when we look at him, the thing that I like the most about him is his 39% three percentage. That is what we need. We need shooters. We need to surround LeBron with shooters, and not shooters that come to the LeBron and come to the team as shooters and leave as players that brick like Danny Green. We need players that will come to us and stay consistent shooters. I believe that D'Angelo Russell is that guy. D'Angelo Russell is an all-around talent. This season alone, he's averaged 17.9 points per game, 1.1 steals, zero point 0.4 blocks, 6.2 assists, 3.1 rebounds, and 39% three percentage. He has had himself an absolute great all-star-esque season. He has put up great numbers, and he has looked like one of the best guards in the West. I don't want to say he's underrated because people definitely give him his flowers, and he definitely is a player that has respect, but I think he is underrated in the sense that within the system with LeBron and AD, especially a healthy AD and a locked-in healthy LeBron, this could be extremely scary, and we could see a system that works for years to come, not just now. So I am super happy to have Russell back. Again, D'Angelo Russell is an absolute shooter. He's a sharpshooter. He has ice in his veins. I am so excited that he's back, and that three-point percentage is something that is big. Another player we're going to look at is Vanderbilt. Now, honestly, Vanderbilt power forward, this makes me excited because he's a pretty young guy. He's only 23 years old, out of Kentucky, drafted in 2018. He is currently averaging 8.3 points per game, 7.9 rebounds per game, and 2.7 assists per game. 0.5 blocks, zero point 0.8 steals. I love that he is an offensive power forward. He is showing that he is going to be an offensive threat. The Lakers need a forward and a big man that can score. You need to give AD another big man that can score right along next to him because currently we have not seen that. You put him next to Dwight. Dwight's great. Dwight wasn't Dwight. You put him next to DeAndre Jordan. Again, not the greatest player to be next to. Even Marc Gasol had a quick stint, and that was a little more successful, but still, you need to put AD next to a young, hungry power forward. This was a clutch move. I'm gonna be honest. I've trashed on Genie. I've trashed on all of them. I've trashed them. I've trashed that organization quite a bit. Rob Pelinka has gotten the blunt end of it for sure. But this was a move. Vanderbilt is a young guy who is an offensive guy who can score and who also is absolutely capable of putting up big numbers. I really believe that this was one of, if not the best picks besides Russell that they got within this whole trade deadline. So this was huge. Vanderbilt makes me extremely excited. And then looking over at Beasley, Malik Beasley is a pretty solid player. This is another player that I'm excited because of his three-point percentage. He is another player that is averaging above 30 point. He's at 35.9% field goal percentage. We need shooters. We need more than just Reeves. Reeves can put up some good ones, but we don't have enough consistency. We need more shooters, and Beasley is just that. Beasley is a shooter, and beyond that, Beasley is just a really talented player that can give you really big nights and can also give you nights if players are out. He will more than likely start. I would say we'll see him in the lineup, but if he doesn't, he will be that solid backup guy that will come in and put those big numbers up. He will be solid and he will be big no matter where he's at, but I think we very well could end up seeing him starting, and I think that would be a really, really big thing and a big boost for this Lakers team to have him and D'Angelo Russell starting, have two shooters starting. That would be big. So honestly, throughout all the trades, this one was the biggest, and I'm going to give this one an A+. Going back to Russell Westbrook really quick, respect to him. I hope he sees success. Juan Toscano Anderson, same thing. Damian Jones, same thing. And then we only had to give up one pick. We didn't have to give up all of our future. And to get Kyrie Irving to even have a chance, we probably would have had to do that. I have heard rumor that we attempted to, and it was and the Nets declined it even with those 29 and 27 draft picks. But the world will never know. That GM world, that front office world, there's a lot we don't know that goes on. So who knows what really happened? But all I know is the Lakers front office actually is looking good. These are moves that Pelinka and Genie made back when we were building up for a championship. These moves remind me of that. Smart, calculated moves, not random plug and play moves. I really think that this could be a good future for this Lakers team.
Well, guys, that wraps up another awesome episode of Purple and Gold Zone. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, make sure you tune into the Connor and Heffernan Show. We have a new episode dropping this weekend going over NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA trade deadline talk, more league-wide talk, NFL news besides just the Super Bowl. We talked the Super Bowl. We're going to talk MLB. We're going to talk everything. So tune into that episode. It'll be dropping this weekend on the same YouTube channel as Purple and Gold Zone, or check it out on Spotify at the Connor and Heffernan Show. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much. And I appreciate every single one of you for watching or listening. Please make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you can always know when we do one of these, and when we do even more things in the future, you'll know. But until then, go Lakers. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you guys soon.